I think we've gone over everything we need to. So one more time, subscribe. So are you ready to talk about what we're here to really talk about?
Let's do it.
Okay, let me get it ready. You can tell them what it is while I get it ready.
Okay, we are going to continue our discussion of Castles and Crusade. Last time, you can look in Twitch or YouTube to find that video. We looked at the classes, and I was disappointed.
That's right, because the assassin was like the only interesting one.
So great, and everything else was different. The assassin was the lone thing that I thought was a really neat mechanic, but it was not replicated at all in any of the other classes. So I was a little upset about that. I mean,
I think I said it last week, but I thought about it more. And if I didn't say it, I meant to say it. And if I did say it, well, I'm going to reiterate it. I liked what you said, except for I would need to see more skills. Like I'd have to have like 2 or 3 for each attribute so that I'm not. So I could focus. I could focus on being a disguise type assassin, or I could focus on being a dexterous type assassin. If it was like that, if there were, say, twice as many skills, then I absolutely agree with you. Other than that, the fact that they're all tied to different attributes, and you can only pick 2 primaries. I don't know.
I just like that.
Conceptually, I agree with you.
Yeah. I like the idea that no one is going to be the perfect. No one's going to be James Bond or the he who what kills in the night. The perfect assassin or whatever. You have to pick and choose what you're going to be really good at, and everything else is just going to be meh. So it makes you specialize within the class. It basically you make your own subclass in that class without having anyone, without the writer having the creator having to write it down. You're going to do it yourself, making the player do the work. I love it. But all the other classes were riddled with just granted abilities. Just you get this, you get that, you get this, you get that.
Well, remember we looked at the wizard right at the end. Wow, 2 abilities.
Yeah,
you can cast spells. Woohoo!
Yeah, there you go. Good job. So yeah, but today we're going to be talking about races and probably magic.
Yep. I don't think we'll get much past that. Can I click on these? I can. Good. Classes.
Page 48.
But I want to cheat. Boom. 48. There we go. Races. Did you read through any of this at all?
I did not. Well, I read a little bit about the human just for funsies.
Oh, let me move this over so I'm not always looking to the side. That up there. Okay. No, well, you can't see the difference. But for me, it's on different monitors now.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't like read through it, but earlier, was it earlier this week or was it? No, it had to be after we streamed last time. So yeah, earlier this week, I did skim through to get an idea of what the races and so forth were. Do you want to mention our Discord guest?
Oh yes. Last Wednesday, me and Cthulhu were playing 7 Days to Die just on our own for fun. And I heard a bloop, bloop. What happens when someone jumps in your voice chat in Discord? I'm like, okay, well, it's Mar Hawkman or Ravenslayer or my fault or whatever, or Sheriff maybe. Gonna say hi. And I hear a hello? And I'm like, I don't know who that is. I'm thinking to myself, I don't recognize that voice. It's Heathen Dog? I'm like, yeah. Oh, hi, my name's Chuck. I'm on the communications team. He's actually, I think, the communications director of Trollord Games. And he saw, I don't know, we're kind of, Max is weird about how he saw it because that.
I think I know. Because when I highlight the video, so as soon as the stream's done, I quickly go in and I turn all of them basically private, subscriber only. If you're a subscriber, like a paying member, you can still see everything. Mm-hmm. But I set it to that. But when I make the highlights, I don't do that because I can't put it on a schedule, and I know throughout the week I'll forget. So while I do schedule them for YouTube, I don't schedule them for here. So chances are, if he saw it on Twitch, and saw one of the highlights there.
Okay, well, he saw it, and he really liked our discovering the game on stream, and he gave me bad news. He said that the assassin, because it was so different, it's being relegated to basically the appendix. It's basically not going to be a real class anymore. What's
weird about that is is that doesn't bother me at all. Like, and it's not about the class. It's just you and I talked about it a little bit on the side.
Yeah.
I've never liked
can't reconcile assassins in a game very well, which
Right,
I get because they're hard.
I don't like the concept.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying the killer. What I'm saying is, to me, an assassin, a bounty hunter, all that, even going back to first edition AD&D, is, hey, I gave you money, go kill that person. You are now an assassin. Like to make that into a set of skills, I don't know. I've never really liked the assassin or bounty hunter type classes, just in any game.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with them doing it. Okay. So.
And he also commented on your rant about the editing, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then I said, oh, you mean the one where he made me walk away so I wouldn't interrupt him or tell him he's overreacting? He says, yeah, that one. Yeah, he was right. I've already hired 2 more editors.
Wait, I was right? I never get that.
You got it.
Wow.
You got it. He acknowledged the fact that the editing was, he didn't say atrocious or bad or horrible or I want to cut myself, but
wow.
He did say subpar.
Understood. Well, no. Well, first of all, if he's a community manager, he's not going to knock his own team.
Exactly.
I mean,
that improvement.
But which you know what, I appreciate that, because look, as you and I had a conversation, I'm not going to get into it here, but this week about how language is changing. I'm in my mid 40s. I don't accept that. I just don't accept it. So when I read these blog posts, when I read these other game books who are like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to virtue signal, I don't buy that game. I literally just don't buy it. I will steal it. Yes, I've said this on multiple streams. I will fucking steal it, but I won't buy it. To see that somebody like this has come by and said, you know what, we realize that, they're idiosyncrasies. Well, I just got to see where it's going in the future. I just won't accept. And I'm going to say this one time and one time only. You know what my hang up is, specifically, because there are multiple ways. We were all taught in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. There are multiple ways of writing in a gender neutral format, which I support, without sounding like a 5-year-old who, says those 2 words that I don't like everywhere. Okay. So that's my problem is I feel that all the editing, even when things are being edited, I'm not talking about this game. I'm talking about this whole modern thing, this modern construct. If you go read blogs and so forth on this hobby, they're either lazy or they're virtue signaling. 2 things that I cannot stand. I just can't stand it. So if you're lazy, you've got to stop it. You're a professional now. And if you're virtue signaling, I don't go fucking play in traffic. Sorry, this segment one, sorry.
To which writing problem he was referring to, I can't say, but I do know he was leaning in the direction of when you brought up page 69 and 70.
Yes.
How one was written all but perfectly, and the other was written by some kind of turd flinging monkey.
Well, I think I said that that person should just give the notes to the other.
Yeah, to the guy who did 69, right? Yeah. So I believe. This is just me inferring from the conversation that he was speaking of things like that and not so much the other thing, but sure. I don't know. I can't be certain.
Fair enough. Really, in the end, if you remember, the biggest thing I was complaining about was the inconsistency.
Right.
Like, at least if it was consistent, I could at least bang my head on my desk and say, I hate these people because they use the format I don't like. Or, holy crap, this is like Astonishing Swordsman, Sorcerer, Hyperborea, where it's written freaking perfect. Every book should be written like that one. Although the betwixt and stuff, if you like the old-timey language.
It was appropriate.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. So that, to me, is probably one of the best edited books of modern time. So... all right, but let's look at, unless you have anything else you want to follow up with what he said, I think we should start looking at the races.
He might jump by on today's stream. That'd I'm ready. Humans,
dwarves, elves, gnomes, halfling, half elves, and half orcs. Guess which 2 races in there I'm not a fan of?
Half elf and half orc. Now, I understand your reasoning behind the half race thing, but
They are traditional.
yeah, no, it's not only that. Not only that, I have a problem with one of them because I could see an elf and a human getting down. I could see it. They look very, very similar to each other. You know, the standards of beauty aren't all that different between the races. Elves are prettier, but on average, but still not too dissimilar. But I have a problem reconciling in my head a consensual night of fun between a human and an orc.
It's a lot of beer, man. A lot of beer.
In my mind, every single half orc I see, I would say, "Oh, I'm sorry for your mom," because she was forced into nighttime unfun.
That was worth the gold coins.
Yeah, there you go. Well, maybe. Oh God, I'm sorry for you then. Jesus. But yeah, so every time I see something like half orc or half troll or anything like that, I'm like, oh God.
So one of the things that Earthdawn, I think, did right, and I never even realized that Earthdawn did that, to be honest with you, was getting rid of the half. Now, but again, to be fair, this game it's not a D&D clone, but it is based on that sentimentality, so I understand why there are half elves and half orcs in it. I mean, can't fault it. It's just personally, I don't like the cross species, the cross pollination stuff. But we do have the traditional races here. We've already read them off. So, and some of the stuff I skimmed it, and it was a while ago, so I'm not going to remember exactly where everything is in this. But I do like that they give examples in here. There are 2 authors, if I remember correctly, for this, of pretty much everything except for I think it was a gnome. Like they give examples of it. If your image is of a tall bearded man wrapped in shimmering folds of a vermilion robe while leaning on a staff, it's probably a human. If I remember correctly, everything was in here except for a gnome. I thought that was funny. Like, where are the gnomes, man? As somebody who plays gnomes, were you the one that said that you hate gnomes and don't let them in your games, or is that somebody else?
It was somebody. I never said I hate them, but I don't let them in my games. I want to play a gnome. You want to play something else, actually. No, I don't like. See, you think you do?
I do. I like gnomes, but I like gnomes played as gnomes, not as stupid as Tinker gnomes from Dragonlance.
But that's what everyone plays.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just like anytime somebody plays a halfling now, they try to play a Kender. Like, no, you're a halfling. Look, watch Bilbo Baggins. That's how you're supposed to be acting. You ever see anybody asked to play a gully dwarf?
Yeah, why not? Oh yeah, maximum intelligence of 8.
Yeah, right. And they can't count past 2.
Yeah, 1, 2 more.
Each race has certain characteristics that make it unique. Thank you. Oh, somebody remembers how these games are supposed to be made. These characteristics are not only reflected in their various abilities, but also in the basic attributes. For each reference, each race also has a standard descriptive block. Now, what I found interesting about the attributes is they don't match always your traditional D&D. In fact, the gnome is a perfect example. When I looked, I said, say what? So just as an example, I think elves are the same way, if I remember correctly. So each one they have typical classes. Now, what I didn't look at, it says right here, the list of preferred classes can be changed at the Castle Keeper's discretion, but both Castle Keeper and players should confer prior. See, I'd say no, but because I like racial restrictions.
Yeah, I understand. But, that's why it specifically has those sentences in here.
And with that in mind, I like the fact that it does say this because, especially with the modern group of gamers, they're so what we call raw, rules as written. Mm-hmm. Well, it says commonly listed. Well, I can't be anything else. Oh my God, I wanted to be the. No, it's like, hold on, let's talk about it. If you want to allow something like that. Attribute modifiers we talked about. Class modifiers. Yeah, I thought that was a little interesting when I was skimming through, and I didn't exactly see how that worked.
Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. It's probably really simple, but like I said, I was skimming it, and it was a while ago. Maybe I'd caught it then, not now. And of course, the age. I mean, dwarf starts, or middle age is at 225 years old. Age limit is 2%. It's very reminiscent of D&D. I think elves in this game are a little longer living than D&D. Because remember correctly, D&D was 1,000 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about 1,000 plus or minus whatever. This one's 1,500 plus or minus.
Yeah. still it still keeps with the generic trope of elves and so forth. So good there. Now you ready to talk about dwarves? Or do you want to talk about something else?
No, dwarves are good. Hit dwarf.
All right. Dwarves hail from the depths of the earth and have lived there for ages beyond count. Much like the stone they resemble, dwarves possess great fortitude and an indomitable will of granite. I like that. I like that line. I don't know. There's something about that. I like that line.
You just like the word indomitable.
I just like it, comparing them to the stone that they are, actually. Indomitable is also, but they have a will of granite. I mean, if you think about like a first or second edition AD&D dwarf, did they not get bonuses to saving throws?
Yeah. Against magic and poison.
And poison, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And plus a constitution bonus if you had that for the poison. Like, this is just swell. They are proud, loyal, and honorable people with lives said to be as long as the tunnels they delve beneath the wind-scoured mountains. Renowned for their stonework and metal crafting, dwarves expend much of their lives perfecting their skills and mining ever deeper for rare ores and gems. There.
Diggy, hole.
Digging a hole. Okay. There in those dark recesses, the dwarves have unearthed many abominations and clashed with ferocious enemies, for the underworld is home to innumerable and usually painful creatures who consider dwarves their mortal foes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would consider anyone who busted into my house like on the regular to be a mortal foe.
Well, there's that, but also what if you were on the other side of it? The dwarves are digging holes and all of a sudden they come across, I don't know, I mean, troglodytes. Who's the bad guy there?
Well, the dwarves, man, look what you did to my ceiling.
I know, right?
Son of a bitch.
So, dwarves resemble the rock and stone they so love. They're short, stocky, and muscled from years of labor at the forge or from tunneling through the earth. Dwarves grow long beards and mustaches that are considered a symbol of maturity and honor. The most renowned dwarves have great, thick beards sweeping to their feet. Stop for a moment. One of the things that's irked me in about the last 15 or so years of me playing games like Dungeons and Dragons is damn near every dwarf I play with now. I don't wear a beard. Or my beard's just down to here right now. You're not a dwarf then. You're just a short human. Dwarves have beards. It's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. You're tripping over the damn thing. Braid it or something. Just, I don't know if you've seen that, but I have. From hours at the forge and difficult work at the mine, dwarven skin is dark, ruddy, and fissured, even at an early age. Yeah, I could see that. Could you imagine working at a forge really just being dried out?
Yeah.
A little ashy.
Your skin. Yeah.
Their deep-set eyes tend to be blue, hazel, or gray, and sharp enough to pierce the gloom of the underworld. All right, so far, I mean, I'm getting a pretty good picture of the dwarf.
Of what they're supposed to be, right? I mean, yeah, the description of their appearance is describing their demeanor for you.
A dwarf without a beard is a gnome. There you go. What I like about it, one paragraph. Yeah. And one paragraph. And I have such a visual of what dwarves are supposed to be that I get it, yet still enough room to be the dwarf that I want to be. So far, at least I feel that way.
Okay.
Dwarves are bound by codes of honor that obligate them to kin and kingdom. They consider themselves eternally beholden to their parents and immediate kin, for their parents brought them into the world. Likewise, the Dwarven kingdom serves as both guardian and a source of succor. So, an enormous debt is also owed to the dwarves' kingdom and homeland. The game that I'm writing, I actually have them more loyal to their clan than to the it's clan, then immediate family, then kingdom. I kind of do a little twist on that. These are debts many dwarves consider irredeemable. At its most extreme, the code obliges dwarves to sacrifice all in the name of kith, kin, and kingdom, even if the cause is unjust or hopeless. Well, I think that fits in with dwarven stubbornness.
Yeah. But you're wrong. I know. This is still going to happen.
I got to do it.
This is still happening, though.
Well, if you're playing a good dwarf, though, and I don't mean alignment good, I mean just playing it well. You're going to find an excuse like, "Oh, my mama did it, my daddy did it, I'm doing it too. It must be right." Actually, you just burned down like 3 villages, blockaded a river, and are trying to build a mountain over, a settlement. So, They shouldn't be there. Dwarves are also bound to another code that, at its simplest, requires just compensation to be paid for service dutifully rendered. This code guides all their businesses and interpersonal dealings. So apparently dwarves aren't shady business dealers. There's got to be an exception to that later, doesn't it?
Well, no. Hang on. It doesn't say that they're going to try and overcharge. It's just that once the deal is done, they stick to the deal.
Fair enough. They stated a letter of the, yeah, that makes sense. Until then, we're going to get the best we can.
There you go.
They place high value on their skills both as craftsmen and warriors, and rightly so. Dwarves are meticulous and patient. All possess an expert's attention to detail and granite determination. There's that granite thing again.
Yep.
Determination, regardless of the undertaking at hand. Expertise in crafting, metal, or stone is without equal in the world, and their steadfastness in battle is as certain as a mountain is strong. Okay, the metaphors. We're getting the metaphors here.
Yeah, it's a little deep now. I gotta get my waders on.
But again, I'm liking this. So far, I would tell you I could play a dwarf. I think I would enjoy playing a dwarf.
Yeah.
Dwarven stubborn. There you go. There's the word I was looking for. Dwarven stubbornness is nothing more than an expression of the codes of loyalty, debt, obligation, and the determination they project into their daily lives. I like that because usually you kind of see it the other way around. This one's like, no, they're not stubborn, so they have these things. It's because they have these things, they're stubborn. I like that. Dwarves are slow to shift loyalties and loathe breaking oaths, doing so only in dire circumstances. The word of a dwarf is as valuable as gold and gems, flowing from generations of tradition and belief. Many mistake the dwarven disposition for greed and avariciousness. Wow. And some believe dwarves simply take advantage of all they can in both business and war. In reality, the dwarven personality stems from a sense of duty, loyalty, and just compensation enforced by centuries of tradition. So I could see them being like, look, you know, we always get 150% markup. I don't care what the humans and elves and gnomes are doing, but we always do 150% markup. You don't like it. I don't know to tell you, this is the way it's done. How do you not get this?
Hey, you either take this or you go get some subpar shit. All right, whatever.
Right.
Whatever. You want lower quality, you pay less money. You want high quality, you pay me.
Exactly, and you can't compete with dwarven quality. All right, racial affinities. Now we're getting to some of the game stuff. Dwarves associate with many demi-humans and humanoids, though their relations are poor with almost all of them. Yes, relations with elves are often strained. Dwarves do not understand elven psychology and do not consider their codes of honor to be particularly reliable. Okay, stop, time out. I know the video is old. I know it's of bad quality compared to what we do now. But my species video, where I actually, before this even became a thing of orcs being racist and so forth, where I've actually long believed in speciesism over racism. I just never really liked the term race because, then I have to convert to ethnicities. Then I have to, it just makes weird changes, right? I see races or species, in this game races, as being genetically different. And in that video that I talk about speciesism in games, a dwarf is a cat, an elf is a dog, probably the other way around. But still, for example, when a dog wags its tail, it means something totally different than when a cat wags its tail. Communication between the two just is non-existent.
Well,
a dwarf, what?
I don't know about non-existent. I mean, difficult, strange.
Well, sure. I mean, a dog understands a hissing cat.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
but I'm talking like some of the cues that an animal would use that within its species it gets, outside the species it doesn't get.
Mm-hmm.
So elves and dwarves are the same way. Elves are genetically, yes, it's bioessentialism. Hell, this game's, without using that word, is saying it's bioessentialism. Dwarves are this way. It can't help it. They're this way. Elves, and I haven't read them, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be kind of like the D&D elves, where they're just kind of frivolous. They don't care. Sure, I'll be there, and they don't show up. Be there on Tuesday, but didn't tell you which Tuesday. That kind of thing. Where dwarves are, I was there 15 minutes prior to every appointment. I stood at exactly the right time. Knocked once. I put my axe down. I wait. They're just going to have this more. I don't want to call it ritual. This more duty bound. I did what I'm supposed to do. I did it the right way. Kind of German. Germans, as somebody who lives in Germany right now, they drive Americans crazy sometimes because a quick example, I went to I had my car dropped off here a few years ago. The guy who is German, who dropped off my car, who is German, went to the door with me. Right as they shut the door, all we had to do was sign. Literally, I had to do a little bit more, but he just needed this person to sign the paper to say, I have picked up the car. Nope, lunchtime. Nope. Let's just sign it. Nope. Exactly 1 hour later to the second, the door was opened up, signed the paper. That guy got to go. I went inside, did my part. Like, there's just this... Germans are on. I mean, but I will tell you that they are the flip side of that. If they do something wrong, they don't try to haggle or anything like, oh, no. They cover it. They're there. Yep, my fault. I'm fixing it right now. So, I mean, there is a flip side to that. That's kind of how I can see this with the dwarves, where the elves are just kind of like, yeah, all right, yeah, we'll see when we read them. But my point being is that this is a very good explanation as to why dwarves and elves have this animosity. There we go. Is because they just don't get each other. They can't get each other. That's why humans exist. All right. Dwarves work well with halflings in business matters, but tend to limit interactions to commercial relationships. Human cultures and societies vary widely, so dwarven relationships with humans vary widely as well. Are you seeing anything weird about this? This seems good to me.
No.
Seems spot on, actually.
Yeah.
To dwarves, humans can appear as honorable as any dwarf or as loathsome as a goblin.
Lost Ogre says we need to stop using Scottish accents for dwarves and use German ones instead.
I know, right? I don't know. I think that would make the dwarf sound a little... I can't do a good German accent. I live here and I can't do a good German accent. But, oh, man. See, to dwarves, humans can appear as... Oh, there we go. Dwarves often consider gnomes to be their friends and allies. Gnomish culture most closely mirrors dwarven social and cultural mores. However, certain gnomish characteristics can ignite a dwarf's short temper, particularly if gnomes and dwarves find themselves coveting the same resources. One of the things that I read about gnomes in this one, because I did read through the gnome chapter, is that gnomes, they're almost like spies in a way. They pull information out of you without you even realizing you've given them the information. So I can understand a gnome getting a little too personal for a dwarf's liking. Dwarves bear great enmity. I was going to say that backward. For goblins, orcs, and their kin, for they are locked in a timeless struggle beneath the earth. With these creatures, dwarves have few dealings other than by the sharp edge of a sword or axe. Another hatred enemy of dwarves are the ogres and giants often found in mountainous passes. Giants treat dwarves as tasty foods. Now that's new. Anybody ever consider a dwarf tasty before?
Well, if I were a giant and I like jerky,
a little morsel.
It sounds like a dwarf would be a pretty jerky stick for a giant.
Okay. Fat gives flavor though, and I just don't see fat, when I think of dwarves, more halflings. Anyway, giants treat dwarves as a tasty food source, and ogres prey upon tempting dwarven caravans. Dwarves are always wary of these enemies and war with them constantly. Okay. Environment: most often dwarves live beneath the earth in great halls of stone, stretching for miles under expansive mountain chains. These dwarven kingdoms often extend deep into the bowels of the earth as they mine ever further for precious metals and stones. Some clans, however, spend much of their lives above ground. Interesting. Building tunnels only for mining and not as abodes. These dwarves live in areas where massive underground stoneworks are difficult to build due to lack of proper stone or simple practicality. Okay,
so they didn't choose it. It's just that they can't do it because it's too sandy or silty or whatever.
I'm making a meta call here where it was probably done just to say, okay, some dwarves live closer to humans so that you guys can have an adventuring party where you're all not hating each other.
Right. Technically, these would be hill dwarves.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Sorry, I had to put that up. Boom.
Okay.
So small dwarven communities can be found in even the most remote of environs. For dwarves, explore the world borderlands, ever searching for new veins of ore. I would really hate to meet a North Pole dwarf. Just saying. Racial traits and abilities. Right off the bat, love it. Elves. I miss this. That's the thing is I miss this. You look at like again, I don't know how you've played all your games, Heathen Dog, but going back in my history, I remember back playing in high school in the late '80s, and I would play one race, and we'll say I played an elf and somebody's playing a dwarf, and we did kind of like the the old Hobbit thing. Stupid dwarves can't do anything right. Blah blah blah. Right? Somewhat good natured, although we were young, so it'd get a little overblown. But it was there to show differences. And you'd start that at first level, and by fifth level, you're like, you know what? You're not so bad. I kind of like what you do. Understand it, but I like what you do. And by 10th level, you guys are like best of friends. Or something thereabouts, right? It showed character growth. So you can start with this animosity. This doesn't mean that the dwarf is going to go home and, no, elves are cool, man. There's still going to be that animosity because most dwarves aren't going to understand. They're stubborn.
Yeah.
Remember that part? But they're not going to understand why the elves do certain things or think a certain way, and the elves are going to have the same thing about the dwarves. So not everybody's going to be best friends, but those two elves are elves. Those two characters are going to build a mutual respect.
Right.
But it's something you grow into.
The best you're going to get out of a dwarf because they are so stubborn is like, well, they're not all shitty.
Yeah, you're not half bad, I suppose. But my point being is so many of these games nowadays, I mean, I don't even know the names. Like I watched one of those stupid Dungeons and Dragons, whatever that event that they've got going on right now, and three were playing some sort of weird. I thought it was a race from Star Trek. The Tamoxels or some crap. I don't even know what the hell it is, but apparently it's something I should like because I think an anthropomorphic animal. When did all this stuff inject? You've got demon characters, you've got angel characters, you've got dragon characters, you've got I think it's like a cat person or something. Get that shit out of the game. It's supposed to follow traditional fantasy tropes. And not all these games, but a lot of these games are doing this now. To bring it back to this, I love seeing this. So not only are you not playing every weirdo race that you can think of under the sun, it's bringing back the animosity that these races are supposed to have. It doesn't say they're at all out war. It doesn't mean if an elf sees a dwarf, it has to kill him. It's just they're culturally and genetically different. Elves suck, except this one. He's okay. There you go. Yeah. Dwarves consider elves to be disloyal and untrustworthy partners in war or trade. As a result, dwarves suffer a -2 penalty to charisma checks when dealing with elves whom they are not closely associated. Wow.
Well, no, that last sentence is pretty good because, like you said, starting off -2, 5th level -1, 10th level -0. Like that they're not closely associated. After a while of hanging out together, then that penalty drifts away.
Krantz, haven't seen you in a while, Krantz. Thank you for coming by. Yeah, he says it's unicornism. I want to be special. Well, yeah. I can't even say, well, this is just me. I don't have players roll against other players. So that's kind of, I see what you're saying. And yes, I basically agree with you. But it'd be kind of a moot point for me because I don't have players roll against players for stuff like that. But as you said, sure, I get along with this one. Like, it's probably a -2 charisma check. Hey, no, he's all right, man. He's just a dwarf, but you know what? He saved my butt a couple of times. All right, we'll make that a -1, or as you said, maybe a 0, as you move along. I could see that. But when dealing with elves to whom they are not closely associated, as you were pointing out.
Actually, you know what? This is way into home game territory, okay. Maybe. But the way that's written, you can expand it to where if a dwarf and an elf, they have an adventuring party for years, I would give that dwarf a permanent amelioration on that -1. He knows elves' idiosyncrasies so well, and he's gotten used to working around them or working with them, or maybe even plowing through them and getting the elf to back down, that they would get a -1 to strange elves just because they're more used to elves the way they think now. I would probably do something like that if an elf and a dwarf adventure from levels 1 to 10 and they haven't killed each other and gotten along. I would probably do something like that.
I can see that. I can't say that I necessarily would, but I also can't say that I wouldn't. I mean, one of the things that I think about is like, just look at us. Now, yes, I do see races as stereotypes, tropes, not as real world stereotypes, but as stereotype tropes. So it's a little different when it comes to humans, but you have a different way of handling business than say I do, or I have a different way of handling business than one of my coworkers does. So just by knowing me might give a little bit of insight, but I can't say that it would allow the person to have great business dealings with, somebody from, Siberia or somebody from South Africa or. So I can see what you're saying, and I don't think it's wrong, but I can also see somebody saying, no, with this elf, you got it. And maybe with that elf's family or something, you might, but broader elves, nah, just because, they don't have necessarily the same attitude or patience or whatever. Not trying to get too much into the weeds, but I'm just saying I could see the counter to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the penalty completely away. Like I said, -2 to -1, maybe I would go so far as that. But I wouldn't take the penalty completely away because then it would take away the flavor of the interaction.
Sure. Yep. No, I get it. I'm just pointing a counterpoint, nothing else on that. All right, deep vision. Ages spent beneath the earth in the dark and quiet places of the world have imbued dwarves with the ability to see in darkness where a human would find it impenetrable. This vision extends up to 120 feet in even the darkest of nights and deepest of tunnels. By the way, as a side note for anybody watching, we're not going to do every single race in the game. We're doing dwarves right now completely simply so you can see how it's written up and so forth. And to what extent they go to describe. What's that?
We're going to do gnomes because I want to see how they do gnomes.
Oh, okay.
And then I want to look at human just to see how they tackle the ubiquitous human idea.
Sure. I don't think we'll go as deeply with gnome. We'll read it, but I don't think we'll read like every sentence with them unless you really want to. All right. So colors tend to erode with deep vision, and objects appear in many shades of gray. It is otherwise like normal sight, and dwarves can function well with no light at all. So they're even better than a cat.
Yes. That's exactly why they call it deep vision and not night vision. Well, two reasons.
Sure.
One, even at night, there's always a little bit of light, But deep vision is not only worded for underground, not day-night cycle, but underground, but complete lack of light.
Right now, I'm comparing it to infravision. That's how I'm comparing it.
This seems more magical because
Sure.
vision is not possible without any light at all.
Infravision is heat sources.
Heat source, yeah, but the thing is, like, colors erode,
Yeah,
but you can.
Have you ever watched the military stuff when they're using infrared? It's all black and white.
Well, yeah, but you can still. It doesn't say you lose detail.
Sure. I'm just comparing it to infravision. I'm not saying it isn't.
You can compare it to, right, but I'm thinking it's more magic, less science in this one.
Fair enough. I miss infravision. Are gnomes football size in this? They kind of are. 3'6" ish. We'll get to that in a little bit, though. A dwarf requires bright light, such as from a lantern or other light source, spoil deep vision. Well,
it turns it off, basically.
Yeah. But you know what? Probably for somebody else, I'm saying that like, duh, but you know what? There are new people to games, so smacking my microphone here. A dwarf requires 1 minute to adjust his or her eyes when a light... See, that's perfect. Oh my God, I love you now. His or her eyes when a light source is extinguished before gaining full use of
you know vision. What? You know what? I would love to see someone run this game and have all dwarves wear eye patches.
Why?
For the same reason pirates did it. When a pirate would attack another ship, you would fight on the deck, and if you win that, you have to go in the bowels of the ship. Well, they've turned off all the light, and the eyes of the people below board have adjusted over time to the darkness, but you haven't. You're going from light to dark. But you flip that eye patch, you got one eye that is instantly adjusted to the dark. So you can fight effectively immediately.
No, I got you. It makes sense. I'd be honest with you. I never knew that's why they did that. I just figured that it was a trope because you know what? They had an eye poked out or something. But I mean, if that's what it is.
Yeah.
Can the scurvy make you go blind? I don't know.
The scurvy will make you lose your teeth. I know that much.
All right. Races determine depth and oh, that's just the title of the page. Never mind.
Yep.
So dwarves can determine depth and direction. The world beneath mountains and in the deeps of in the deeps. I want to say depths of the earth, but it says deeps. In the deeps of the earth is the natural home of the dwarf. Dwarves can sense their approximate depth underground as naturally as humans can sense which way is up.
Okay.
Can we? I get lost in a box. I don't know
Well,
which way is
but you
anything.
don't get lost up and down. Like that's up, that's down. North,
Maybe.
south, east, west. Well, that's more of a construct than a feeling.
You know why the
I don't know.
Roadrunner was never affected by gravity, right? It's too stupid to understand it. That's this guy. I could probably walk across the ceiling because I can get lost anywhere. And if I think I'm in the right direction, by the way, when we read illusions later, that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
A spoiler there for you. Meanwhile, you have some shiny friends. You have no depth perception. Whoops. Well, you're using a cutlass or something, so it should be fine. Dwarves can sense their approximate depth underground is naturally okay. Which way? The dwarf can determine direction underground just as easy. Got it.
Okay.
Enmity. Goblins, orcs. Eternal wars against goblins and orcs have created an undying crucible of hatred. Wow. Sometimes the language in this is actually pretty darn cool.
I like the way this the language in this just makes it completely apparent and emphatic.
I know, right?
There is not going to be a half goblin dwarf offspring.
Gross.
It's not going to happen ever. They're not going to be in the same room with each other for long enough without trying to stab each other. This is it.
Right. Eternal wars against goblins and orcs have created an undying crucible of hatred for these vile creatures. When in combat against goblins or orcs, this fury and hatred allows dwarves a +1 bonus to hit these creatures. Dwarves have a similar distrust of half-orcs. Oh, that's lovely.
Fair.
Dwarves find interbreeding with goblinoids to be the worst of all sins.
See? Told you.
We'll get back to you when I'm done with this paragraph because yes, they're powerful. Antipathy. I always have trouble with that word. I don't know why. Toward pure goblinoids negatively affects dwarven relations with half-orcs. Dwarves suffer a -4 to charisma checks when interacting with half-orcs because they want to beat them with battle axes instead of sell them stuff. Goblins and orcs. So, how are you born? I couldn't picture a dwarf going like, I'd hate to see your mom. To a dwarf, that's just gotta be totally gross. Like, I can't.
Yeah, I mean they have the same idea about half orcs that I do. Like that was not a product of consent.
Why didn't she kill herself to save her honor?
There you go. They took it a step further. Like a good dwarf woman would kill themselves after being violated by a goblin or an orc. Why is your mother so stupid?
For the record, I hope the dwarf is a herself, not a themself. But I'm just saying, mental affliction can hit. I suppose after that, I might be 3 people. That's multiple personality disorder right there. Like I was a dwarf, now I'm you. But yeah, and if you think of the dwarf's stubbornness, somebody's probably watching this video going, "Oh my god, that's so mean." And no, think about it. The dwarf's stubbornness, like, I hate them. I would never allow this to happen. I absolutely could picture what Heathen Dog said. My mom, I was the firstborn son. You know what the secondborn son was? Don't know. Mom killed herself. She did the right thing for kin and country, and just kind of treat it as like, yep. Where we're like, I absolutely could see that. Not saying that it'd have to be done. But defensive expertise. Giants and ogres. Long regarded as a food source by many. I just like the sound of that. Jerky, there you go. Long regarded as jerky by the giants, dwarves have developed considerable expertise in fighting them. Combined with their small size, this tactical expertise allows dwarves to offer resistance to the powerful giants. When fighting giants or ogres, dwarves receive a +4 bonus armor class. Was it +4 or was it +2 in D&D?
I don't recall at the moment, but
I think it was +4.
I don't know how important armor class is in this game because we haven't gotten to that.
Still D20.
I don't know if that's significant bonus or not.
Even if you change it to use like the 3rd, 4th, 5th edition D&D rules, I mean it's still rolling on a D20. So I mean it's same basic. So I'd say that's pretty darn good.
20% about
right now. Now remember this game adds in levels and so forth as well.
Oh, okay. So probably a 10%. Maybe.
Yeah. So it's we'll say between 10 and 20ish, depending on what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here's your favorite one coming next.
Resistant to arcane magic.
Oh, it specifically says arcane, not spiritual or clerical or whatever.
It does. You're right. And when we get to magic, we will see that there is a difference.
Okay.
As unshakable as granite or iron, again, Dwarves are particularly resistant to arcane magic. They receive a +3 bonus to all saving throws against arcane spells and spell-like effects.
That's pretty good.
I think that's actually better than what D&D was.
Yeah, I think it was +2.
Dwarven loyalty, duty, stubbornness, and honor lend them courage where other races might falter. Dwarves receive a +2 bonus to all saving throws against fear. I don't remember that being in D&D.
No.
So
No, I get it.
makes, yeah. Yep.
I wouldn't say it's a resistance against fear. I would say that their stubbornness makes them immune to second guessing themselves or being startled because they have a job to do.
Well, remember, it even said above, it said, even if, it's going to go badly for them, the dwarf will be like, all right.
Just push through. Yeah. Like, this is what's happening though. So, pushing through. But you're going to get yourself killed. Yeah. Well, then that happens too. But this is happening.
So whatever, they choose to call it here, I still think like this makes sense.
Yeah.
Resistant to poison, it's based on constitution.
Sure.
Dwarves are imbued with great constitutional fortitude. Poisons that might fell a normal human are less likely to affect a dwarf. Dwarves receive +2 bonus to all poison saving throws. Stonecraft, based on wisdom. So mind you, if you make a character, not only do you get your class abilities, you're getting all of these as well.
Yeah.
So Stonecraft, wisdom. Dwarves spend much of their lives carving halls, castles, and under. I want to say in halls, but I get it. They're dwarves. They're underground. Okay. Dwarves spend much of their lives carving halls, castles, and underground fortresses out of solid rock, so they possess an extensive knowledge of stoneworking and construction. They possess almost a sixth sense in this regard, which gives them various bonuses and abilities. Dwarves are capable of spotting unusual or unique construction or stonework features, including new construction, unfamiliar architecture, sliding walls, stonework traps, unsafe stone surfaces, unstable ceilings. Man, we could have used this in our 2nd edition campaign about a year or so ago when every time our damn thief stepped on the first step of the stairwell, boom. Where was I?
No, better. Yeah, a dwarf passing within 10 feet of one of those features, one of those laundry list of features, is entitled a wisdom check at +2. Now, this is again, the language is very telling. It doesn't say looking. It doesn't say studying. It says passing within.
That's the same thing that AD&D had. Like, I don't know if dwarves had it, but like, especially with elves, with secret doors and so on and so forth, there's like a 1 in 6 chance of accidentally finding it or a 3 in 6 chance of actively searching. So it's the passive versus the active. Yep.
Yep. But a wisdom check at +2, just walking by, not paying attention, just walking by, like, I hear wind from somewhere.
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
While you're saying that, I just read the next sentence. Check this out. Should a dwarf actively search for these features, the bonus wisdom check is, boom, +4. Nice. When examining a feature, a successful wisdom check reveals other bits of knowledge, such as which race created. Wow. Now that's some knowledge, man.
Too. Nice.
Yeah. Which race created the feature, its approximate age, and if applicable, the approximate value of the stone or metal object. When is that not going to be applicable?
Yeah, it's true. I know, right? But I would go further to say that if it was Dwarven made, they would be able to, if it was made by a famous dwarf, they would be able to know the provenance. Like, oh, I can tell this was made by Stonehammer Gargan or whatever.
Kind of like a legend lore thing.
Yeah. But only with Dwarven made stuff. Like, oh,
sure.
That's Elven made. I can tell, but I don't know by who.
So using the Earth Dawn reference, kind of like a sword master with swords.
Yeah. But right. Ravenslayer just came in. He says he's sorry, he's late, and we should start over for him.
About that, we'll start over for you on Thursday of next week when you hit play on the YouTube video. All right. He can't beat me. He's too far away. All right. Languages: Common, Dwarven, Gnome, Goblinoid, because know your enemy, yep. Halfling, Elven, Ogrish, Giant, and Troll.
Okay. Now, do you get all of these languages? It's not clear to me.
I got to be honest with you. I don't remember. Didn't we? I thought we read that last week, or maybe it comes up later. You know what? That's one of those things. Either we forgot about it last week, or it comes up later.
Okay.
Size small. Makes sense. Movement 20 feet. Slow it up. Sage McLaughlin. I can get behind anything that incentivizes more people to play dwarves. Anything that plays in the archetype. Yeah, no, I agree. I absolutely agree. I'm gonna put that on the screen because I think that's a good comment there.
What is that?
It's not showing up in StreamYard yet. Well, when it shows up, it's from Sage McLaughlin.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Boom. Fighter, rogue, barbarian, cleric, bard. Now, I find the bard thing to be interesting.
The bard thing, really? I don't find bards interesting at all.
Well, no, that dwarves can be bards, and the reason I find it interesting is because of the next line. What are the attribute modifiers for a Dungeons and Dragons second edition dwarf? Do you remember?
I think it's this, right? I know. Constitution is one of them.
Charisma minus
Charisma
one.
is the minus. That's right, but they went the other way and went dexterity. See, I can't. I don't know about dex. I don't know about that.
I can. And here's why. Now it kind of hurts the rogue, I get, but when I think of a little short, stocky dude, even if he's strong and muscular and so forth, I just don't see it. Now, I don't get me wrong. It's not that I think it's better than charisma, because I also see them as grumpy old men. I mean, so I can see it both ways, and it's just I'm used to the charisma one, so that's why the bard thing throws me off. I'm like, why the hell would you want to be a bard? Your charisma is gonna suck,
Yeah.
But not in this game.
I understand, but with the -1 dexterity, wouldn't that affect stonework? No, stonework is based on wisdom.
Yeah, it was wisdom. Yep.
It's based on wisdom. Okay, but in my head, you make stonework chiseling, very, very fine stuff. If you want to make really intricate stuff, or metal working, you want to make intricate stuff. It takes hand-eye coordination, manual dexterity to do that. But in this game, that's all based off of wisdom.
Well, nobody ever talks about dwarven artistic ability.
That's true. They have it, obviously. I mean, Tolkien did it.
Well, Tolkien went a little bit further on that. That is true, but typically you talk about dwarven strength and dwarven, fortresses as being impenetrable and so forth. Not, oh, look at the etching. That's more of an elven thing. Not that only elves can do it, but you get what I'm saying. But let's look at this. So let's say you're like, oh crap, that -1 dexterity. Why would I play a rogue? Well, because of +2 to find traps and structures. Now. But where are you going to bring your dwarf rogue? Into a dungeon.
I mean, he has the racial ability to find stonework traps. I mean, come on. It's a good deal.
So Lost Ogre says many cultures use song and story to pass on cultural tradition. One of the things that I love, God, I've mentioned, last week we were always talking about Palladium. Today we're going to talk about Earthdawn. That I love about the Earthdawn Troubadour is the fact that, it's got a part to play going bloom, 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 feel better, or he did it, kind of stuff. But their actual role is history. And, I could see that. So dwarves are, with their stubbornness, they're going to want to keep the annals of all of their history. So I get, it makes it, I'm absolutely not complaining at all. Like for once, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, I'm just showing the difference between what, what the D&D dwarf is versus this. This is not Dungeons and Dragons. I get it. I like this dwarf. What did you think overall? What did you think of how the class was written up?
Really good. I mean, the description gave you everything you needed to role play a dwarf, and all of the powers and stuff. They make sense based on the description and the backstory. So it's all good. Like I said, the only thing I had pushback on was the -1 dexterity, but because this game, all the dexterity things in my head that would be based on is actually based on wisdom, then but I will say that your constitution and wisdom are those are the ones. Your stonecraft is based on wisdom, resistant to poison. That's just a granted ability, but stonecraft is a roll. It looks like it's a roll, and if you don't have wisdom as one of your primary,
it's going to be an 18 or higher.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This ability here, it's just like, in the real world, some people are better at judging distances than others. Some people are better at seeing color than others, or at least identifying color. They might see it, but they just don't identify it. This right here just seems like it's innate to the dwarf. However, not everybody is going to be perfect walking down the tunnel knowing exactly what's going on. Maybe didn't study hard in Dwarven school, or just doesn't have the eye for it or something. So this doesn't bother me. If this was something like a dwarf has to be able to do this, I would probably have more of a problem with it. But
Well,
it's
I think your example is a little flawed because the whole depth and direction underground, those are innate abilities and they're almost never wrong. There's no roll. It says twice in there it's super easy. And there is no stat link to it like there is with Stonecraft. There's no roll. Stonecraft, you get a bonus to a roll. That means you're rolling off of wisdom because wisdom is linked to the power.
right.
But determine depth and direction, there's no bonus because there's no roll. They just know.
No. I was just comparing to the humans, to our right now natural ability. I've been told I have the eyes of a woman. Don't go there. No, because I tend to see more colors. It might be, and I did this back in school before I was a graphic artist too. I see more colors. I can identify more colors than a lot of people. I'm sure I don't see more colors than anybody else, but I can identify most guys. If I remember the numbers, the most guys get like 10 to 12. Most women get like up to 40. I had like 32. It was some weird number like that. My point being is here, I'm not saying that no dwarf can do it or that only special dwarves can or it's hard but within 10 feet of looking at one of these features, let's say unfamiliar architecture, sliding walls, stonework traps. I don't have a problem with it based on the wisdom, even if the person takes it as a secondary.
Yeah.
Just because not everybody's going to be great. I worked at a forge all day in my life. I wasn't underground, so I
wasn't a digger, right? I was just a maker.
So I see it both ways. I don't think you're wrong in your assessment. What I'm saying is like I understand why it's like this. Just like this boggles my mind as well, but I actually like it. It's just I'm not used to it because I'm a D&D guy.
Yeah. So if you want the best resistance to poison and the best stonecraft rolls, you need to have Constitution and Wisdom be primary stats. But that may go against the class that you want.
Could.
Especially if you're, say, a rogue. A rogue, I imagine Constitution and Wisdom is not going to be a priority. A clerical, cleric maybe. I could see that.
Hawkman says Tolkien made Dwarven art kind of boring, right?
Yeah.
Sucker said, Hawkman, how many different ways can you paint a mine?
Gray, brown.
I couldn't imagine dwarves even painting a mine. I mean, it's like, we dug a hole, keep moving. Anyway, all right. So moving on from the dwarf, we're not going to read anyone as fully as the dwarf, but we will.
Gnome.
We'll check out the gnome. We'll get there. We'll look at the elves. They're long lived. Blah blah blah. Beauty. Yeah. Okay, you're more than welcome. Here we go. Gnomes.
Gnomes are often mistaken for offshoot species of dwarves or halflings. In fact, gnomes have more in common with elves, for they are closely bonded to nature and its essence as much as elves are. Even the most renowned sages can only say that gnomes emerged long ago from primordial fortis and from under the deep roots of massive trees.
Okay.
So they're fairies? So they're
maybe they're like Warhammer orcs and goblins. They're mushrooms.
Okay. Small even by dwarven standards, gnomes have the potential to be powerful friends and deadly foes despite their size. Although partial to forests and mountains, gnomes can be found living in other remote locations as well. Afflicted with wanderlust, I hate that word. Many gnomes are world travelers and enjoy visiting strange foreign lands in search of new information about the world in which they live. Okay. Using the word wanderlust means that 20% of the people reading this, Kender, that's it. And then their mind will shut down. That is a bad word to use ever. Lose it.
I didn't think of that at all, but I actually agree with you on that one. I didn't agree with you until you said that, but I agree with you on that one because now that you said that, I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head, and I cannot stand it when people try to play freaking Kender.
Yep.
In a game. But there's something I want to say to this before we go on.
Okay.
What I like about this, and here we go, gonna do it for like the 4th or 5th time today, compared to Earth Dawn again. What are gnomes kind of? What is their traditional class?
I don't know.
Illusionist.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
One of the things in Earth Dawn that it stresses about the illusionist is the illusionist needs to experience the world, because how can you make the best illusions if you're not traveling the world to see him, firsthand, right? Now, I'm not saying that this game says that all gnomes are illusionists, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons tries to do. We'll get to that. Heathen Dog will read that in a moment. But I'm saying that I'm already starting to shape in my head when I get to my gnome trope of playing the gnome illusionist, okay, gnome, travel the world. That reminds me of the Earth Dawn illusionist. Sorry, I have to put a different game together in that one. But I'm building this, and so far, just on one paragraph, I'm liking this. My gnome illusionist is ready to go. So let's see what Heathen Dog says. Moving up here.
All right. Description. Gnome is small in stature, averaging 3 feet 6 inches tall. They have ruddy, earthy skin that appears dry and cracked with age, like an ancient mud flat. Oh, that's unfortunate. Gnomes have large noses and wide, gleeful eyes. Gnomes prefer dark, earthy colored clothing, mixing browns and greens with the occasional deep-hued blue. They dress more extravagantly during festivals or celebrations in clothes of a wide array of colors and styles. Okay, so they're a little subdued in dress most of the time.
You know what I like about the description is it's starting to pull away already from that weird eccentricity that people like to give gnomes.
Right. Okay. Here comes personality. Considered pranksters or mischief makers in many circles, gnomes are generally more concerned with relaxation and mirth than with most other matters. The gnome is occasionally serious, although this demeanor is normally reserved for times of war and great stress. Even in these grave situations, gnome remain light of heart compared to other races. Keenly intelligent, curious, and observant, gnomes involve themselves in all manner of travels and experiments to fulfill an unremitting curiosity.
Now it's starting to talk like the normal
more Kender out of this, and I want it to stop.
Well, this sounds like a typical gnome. I don't have, because I do play gnomes, and I did get like the gnome books for second edition and so forth. This doesn't bother me. I get your reservation, but this doesn't bother me. I think the only thing that I kind of don't like about what's written in here, because I know how players act, is that mischief making thing.
Yeah. When it said pranksters or mischief makers, just erase that. Wanderlust, pranksters, mischief makers, get rid of them.
I could see it saying something like they like having a good time or something like that. Yes. But when you say pranksters and mischief makers, that's when
people take it too far.
Firecrackers, in people's lunchboxes, and so whatever, it's. Okay, yeah, go on.
All right. Their thirst for knowledge often brings gnomes and their friends together in great concourse. Individuals, families, and clans gather from time to, and shouldn't there be a comma after? Never mind. Gather from time to time to feast and make merry and pass the news of the day. All are welcome at these gatherings, and it is not odd to see elves, halflings, dwarves, or even humans sitting amongst the gnomes and sharing in stories and tales of great escapades. Gnomes are famous for their songs, dances, drinks, speeches, and many other desperate forms of entertainment. Okay. All right. That is fine. They are social creatures.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. In fact, gnomes encourage others to sit at tables with them as they struggle to glean information from all and sundry folk. Okay. For this reason, gnomes are careful in their speech and possess great skills in extracting all manner of information from their guests, whether their guests intend to reveal it or not. These skills are not limited to civil conversation.
Hold on, just 1 second. That sentence right there starts to turn the gnome in a little bit different direction, and it's going to be something that I point out later when we look at like the gnome's natural
ability. Got it.
Attributes.
Yeah, but I read that as they're constantly hungry for data. Mm-hmm. They're constantly hungry for experience. They're constantly hungry for all this stuff. They cannot go to the evil isles of darkness and death, or haven't done it yet, but you have. They're going to suck as much information out of you about this as possible.
And they're going to do it with the skill of an interrogator.
Yeah. But it's not the interrogator torture, it's the interrogator buddy,
Right. Yeah. It's the person who knows how to ask the right question here and the right question there, and your non-answer is just as good as an answer. In fact, I think that's quoted in here.
And from what I've gathered so far, none of this is malicious or selfish, or against you. It's just the gnome wants the information and will get it as efficiently and quickly as possible. It's not like you're an adversary. You're wait. Holding the knowledge. You need to stop doing that.
Keep reading.
Okay. And these skills are not limited to civil conversation, but are as often used to glean secrets and even concession, from others. Conversely, gnomes are loath to give up information and rarely do so without a price. Oh, that's dick behavior right there.
Yeah.
Knowledge gained in this manner is rarely used for evil purposes, but is tucked away for the proverbial rainy day. At such times is brought forth to the immense enjoyment of the gnome and often to the embarrassment of the victim. Oh man,
See, what were you just
social
saying?
blackmailers. That's cold.
You're like, oh, it looks like they don't do these things for any nefarious reason at all. Oh, wait.
Yes, they do. They're a race of dicks. Gnomes tend to be clannish, living in extended, though tightly knit family units. These family units are not restricted to blood relations or even the race of gnomes. Once trust is given or earned, gnomes develop friends of almost any race into the inner confidence. Their love of gatherings and their skills in storytelling help them bind these clans together through shared folklore and public exchanges of appreciation. Okay, so their idea of clan and family is not based on genetics. It's based on relationship, personal relationship. Okay, I get it. Ogre says the gnome's natural habitat are lawns and vegetable gardens. Sorry, couldn't resist. Fair enough. Gnomes are accounted as great craftsmen, and they take pride in the creation of all manner of objects. Well, I can see why the dwarves like them so much. For musical instruments, exotic papers, colorful inks, and noisy clocks and other stuff. Oh, good. It's a completely different area, too. It's not stone and metal. It's everything else. Yeah, there you go. But their greatest craftsmen focus on religious edifices. I don't know.
That, you know what? I don't remember reading that. Okay.
Yeah. These large stone
Manners? I don't know. I've seen the word a lot. I know what it is. Easter Island and all that shit, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
Shaped and carved over decades and placed within sacred groves or upon windy heights. At these spots, gnomes gather on summer and winter solstices to offer tidings to their deities and thanks for lives well lived. Okay. All right. So the only stone carvings they do are religious.
They made Easter Island, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Racial affinities. Preferring simple and static world. What? Really now? Gnomes are friendly with most of the benign peoples with whom they come into contact. Gnomes, however, have contentious relations with those who are destructive and aggressive. They particularly abhor goblins and kobolds. Gnomes consider elves to be distant and elitist cousins. They find dwarves marginally acceptable, but wish they would quit digging so many damn holes in the earth before it collapses.
I like how you added "damn" there, but I think that would have solidified the paragraph better.
Yeah, it really would have. I added it because I think it should have been there.
Yeah.
As for halflings and humans, gnomes consider one just a shorter, more polite, and better fed version of the other. They typically relate well with both.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
All right. Gnomes prefer wild regions that are peripheral to urban and settled lands, including high mountains, hills, desert forests, or more rarely, marshes. Okay, that's fine. You know, they put them next to everybody else. That's good. They're apparently gnomes are ubiquitous. You know, because they're where humans are, they're where dwarves are, they're where elves are. They're everywhere. They can, or they seem to be, because they can be.
Well, what better way to get information than to be where people are to give you information?
That is completely fair. All right, racial traits. Here we go. Animal empathy. The gnomish relationship with nature and its creatures allows them to communicate with burrowing mammals, badger, fox, mole, rabbit, etc.
You know, when I first read that, I was like, wait a second, that doesn't sound right at all. But then I remembered they did have that power in D&D.
Okay. The communication is more telepathic and empathic than it is conversational, though posture and sounds can communicate emotions and stress and fear. The information communicated must be relatively simple, taking place in the animal's level of understanding and comprehension, not the gnomes. Okay. All right. That's fine.
What? I can't get the cat to talk to me or the rabbit to talk to me in my own language?
Exactly. Now, again, there is no role for this because it is not connected to an ability. I mean, a stat. So there is no role. It just works.
Yeah, but it isn't like a crazy information gathering
no.
method.
But it gives the limitation that this is going to be, you know, big man did this, dug a hole, hit me in face, I ran. You know, that's pretty much going to be the level of conversation you're going to have.
Where's my lettuce? Where's my lettuce?
Yeah, there you go. Combat expertise against goblins and kobolds. Gnomes have battled goblins and kobolds in the forests and mountains since the dawn of their race. Because of these frequent and bloody encounters, gnomes have developed special techniques for fighting goblins and kobolds. Gnomes receive a +1 bonus to hit kobolds and goblins using handheld weapons in melee combat. Using missile weapons does not confer a bonus. Okay, only when they're up close and personal and can see the whites of those demon eyes is when they get the
this
bonus.
drove me nuts when I read the paragraph. Everything said goblins, kobolds, then no, kobolds and goblins. It's like, God damn it. Like,
yeah.
It's like, it's just, I don't know if I talked about it last week. I'm not doing it again.
I get it. Okay, I just reading the word dark vision. I haven't read anything else. Dark vision. This tells me it does not work in absolutely no light. That's what the word means to me. Let's see if it's actually what it means.
Well, it's not deep vision.
Exactly. Dark vision. With no light, it should not work. Dark does not mean absence of light. In a similar manner to dwarves, gnomes can see in complete Nope. Complete darkness is not dark. They have deep vision, just shitty deep vision. Because instead of 120 feet, it's 60 feet. Dark vision produces images that are in shades of gray, but it's otherwise like normal sight. That's exactly what deep vision is. Why'd you rename it? That's stupid. I'm pissed off. Gnomes can function well with no light at all. That's deep vision. What the fuck? Bright lights such as Formalandra, the light source spoiled. I mean, you just copied and paste, right? I mean, that's what happened here, right? What the hell, man? You needed those new editors.
Would you copy and paste the last sentence, please?
A gnome requires 1 minute to fuck. Okay, what the hell? What the hell? Why are you reinventing the wheel here? This is deep vision with lesser range. That's it. It's literally exactly the same thing. Why did you rename it? That's stupid. It's stupid.
You know what's funny is when I looked at this in the first place, I noticed that and I said kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, it's the same thing. But I don't know. I didn't care that the name was different. I just, oh, it's the same thing. All right.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't think that you were going to react like that, but yeah, I did know it's the same thing. It's completely different but what?
It's completely different, but just like it. Yeah, completely different, but just like it.
Okay.
Dick. All right, enhanced hearing. Gnomes have keen ears from their partial elven, I guess, often likened to those of a fox. No one knows whether this is due to gnome physiology or if it's because gnomes are such good observers of their environment. Gnomes receive a +3 bonus to all listening checks. Okay, now again, this is telling. It's a listening check. It does not give a stat. I don't know why. Maybe it says in the rules all listening checks are wisdom. Maybe it says that.
Before you move on, don't even look at your page anymore. I want you to look at the camera.
Okay.
Just a moment. I don't want you to cheat, even though you might have already. I don't.
I haven't read ahead.
What are the gnomes plus and minus attribute in D&D? If you remember.
+1 intelligence and -1 constitution.
Nope.
Damn
+1 intelligence, -1 wisdom.
Wisdom. Okay, that makes sense.
I always liken the gnome as the character that has his face in the book and walks across the freeway without looking. He knows that car is going to run him over, and he can tell you exactly what the velocity is and what his life expectancy is.
He just didn't think the whole thing through.
Right. It's just he's kind of absent-minded. Now remember, it's only -1 wisdom. It doesn't make him a complete buffoon,
right,
but but
you exaggerate in your mind to clarify the situation. I get it.
Exactly. Now, as we read, you're going to actually see they don't have that in this game, which actually falls in line with how they describe the gnome.
Okay, let's do
enhanced spells.
Hang on. Well, I'm still talking about the enhanced hearing. So a listening check. It says listening checks. That means listening checks have to be linked to a stat because all checks are based off stats. They get a +3 bonus to that. That's just a granted power across the board. Okay, got it. Spells. Gnomes have an innate ability to cast the following spells once per day. Innate spellcaster. Shit. Okay. As a first level caster. Okay, it never goes up in level unless you're a spellcaster, obviously. But it never goes up in level unless you're a spellcaster. But if you're not, you still get this as a first level. That's good. Dancing lights, ghost sound, and prestidigitation. I love that word. These innate spells are in addition to any spells available to gnomes of spellcasting character classes. Now, wait. I have a question that is not. Well, no, it is. It is. I mean, even if you're a spellcaster, these spells are in addition to what you get, but if you want to cast them better, you would also have to use them as your class, because this reads like these are locked at first level ability.
I agree 100% with you.
Yes.
So if that is not the case, I hope in that 8th printing, like you were talking
it
about,
would fix that. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, got it. All right, language: common, dwarf, elf, gnome, goblin, kobold. Again, they get all these things, or is it like this is what you get to choose from?
No, I'm pretty sure it's a choice.
Okay, good. Size: small, smaller, smallest. I don't know. Movement: 20 feet. Rogue, illusionist, druid, bard. Bard and illusionist, I get.
Druid, have you ever heard of a gnome druid? Well, the way they wrote it up, yes. It's just, for me,
it makes sense because they're all,
I struggle though.
Yeah.
Because I can't picture a gnome druid, but it is written up that way. They have the affinity for nature. But, so I get it. It's just, if you came to me as a little gnome druid, I'd be like, oh, that's so cute. Pat on the head.
And rogue, that's, I also get, all of these I get. All of these make sense. For some reason, I'm pushing back on it. I can't articulate why.
I think it's the same reason that I was. When I think gnome, I only think illusionist.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think it's just a historical thing.
Right. Attribute modifier: +1 intelligence, -1 strength. Since they are even smaller than dwarves and they don't have the stocky build, I get this. I would have like either -1 con or -1 strength and went, all right.
I like the fact that it isn't -1 wisdom, especially with the way that they wrote the gnomes up. So not only are they smart enough to extract the information from you, they're not going to be buffoons. And I know I'm exaggerating, but it's just how I see people write them and play them so often that it's annoying. But they're not going to be buffoons to not know what to do with that information. So I think that the -1 strength, obviously you already mentioned that you like that. I think it fits in absolutely with this write-up. Yep. And can kind of make, now gnomes can't be assassins. I get it, nor would I want a gnome to be an assassin, but like you said, without the torture, I could absolutely see this being an inquisitor of some sort.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
A friendly inquisitor, you know.
Yep. So yeah, I like this, except for the dark vision. Fuck, come on. Come on. Call a spade, people.
All right, you said you want to look at humans real quickly also?
Humans. I want to see how they deal with humans.
Okay.
Human, there it is, page 57.
Human, there it is. Are we going to read it all or just kind of quickly go through it? I think we should just go through the racial affinities and so forth.
Yeah.
So humans interact well with most other races. They have innate...
No, stop. Personality. Okay. Start with personality.
Personality.
Yep.
Oh, it's up there.
Yep.
As with their physical traits, humans range greatly in temperament.
Fair.
So one of the things I'm going to be looking for with the human talk is one of the things that Heathen Dog and I have discussed in the past is races are stereotypes based on tropes. The human trope is diversity.
Yes.
Understanding, open-mindedness. We're the ones that can bridge the gap between the elf cat and the dwarf dog.
Right. Wide range of beliefs and the unique ability in fantasy settings to hold two completely opposite ideas as true at the same time. And
outside of that, sure, Heathen Dog as his own character and me as my own character might not be able to do all this, but there could possibly be much more divergence between his character and my character still playing within that stereotype because of the diversity where you just don't have that. You shouldn't have that within the elves, the gnomes, so forth.
But humans have a much wider range.
Yes. By
definition. So let's see if they have that definition here.
They seemed, excuse me, I need a cough button if I'm going to do that. They seem to the longer lived races to move through life with the speed born of desperation. Again, great sentence again. I know I've only read 2 sentences, but I like them both because I think they capture the feel of one of the things that D&D used to say is humans are prolific. They're everywhere. They spread like roaches. WTF, man.
Well, rabbits.
Okay, rabbits. They're short. Well, it depends. I think a dwarf would say a roach. I don't know. Their short lives give them a burning desire to create and control the world around them and their own mortality. This causes humans to see the world in a unique fashion. All things are tools to humans in their quest for immortality. I think that's Americans.
Yeah, yeah. It gets better. I read a little bit of
Go
the
ahead. You
human,
can
and
hit the next
it
paragraph.
is a real specific Western individualistic ideology used to create these humans that I'm not on board with.
Really? Okay. Well, then, let's see. Humans lack empathy for the other races, especially elves. That's a little.
It's a little
different.
harsh. I
It's a
don't
little strong.
like
Yeah.
that pigeonhole.
I don't mind the concept. I do think it's a bit strongly worded for what I'm used to with human stereotypes.
Yeah.
Their short lifespans create an awareness of the importance of things few others understand. Life is precious, and the wealth of it must not be wasted on frivolous things. All right. In the passage of history, death marks one's life and can give it meaning. Wait, what?
Okay, let me try this. In the passage of history, death marks one's life and can give it meaning, and only through a life well spent can one gain immortality.
Oh, I was missing a comma. Got it.
Yeah. The editing here, they missed a couple commas during my little thing too. So
okay. Oftentimes the world's greatest heroes are humans who consider themselves to be in conflict rather than harmony with the world, and willingly lay their lives low in that eternal struggle. I have to read that again. Oftentimes the world's greatest heroes are humans who consider themselves to be in conflict rather than harmony with the world. And wow, okay. So it's almost like they see themselves as anti-heroes?
No, it's more like they look around, they see all the other races living so long. Hang on, let's go to the beginning to look at the ages again. They, except for the half orc, which I don't count, product of rape, whatever. Nobody cares about you. They are the least lived race by a significant amount. A significant amount. So them looking around and understanding like they have so much more time to do things, we have to do it now. The only way to do it now is to push your boundaries as fast as possible. The quickest and most efficient way to do that is through conflict.
Well, no, I get that. I think what I'm not taking any umbrage here with any specific wording or whatever. I guess I'm trying to get the visual a little better in my own noggin. Consider themselves to be in conflict rather than harmony with the world. Now, I don't just see that as like with elves or dwarves or the other races. I'm talking, general, yes. I'm talking the forest over there. We're talking weather systems. We're talking the rise and fall of this empire and kingdom and so forth.
Yes, they instead of changing themselves to fit the world, they will change the world to fit them.
I think that would be a better way to phrase that.
Yes,
because I get it. I'm trying to base it on the language used. I think your language is actually better.
And the problem I have with this so far is that this is not the grand multicultural human that I'm used to playing. You know, this takes no Middle Eastern or Eastern thoughts or ideas in it. This is all seems to be Western individualism.
This sentence up here. Humans lack empathy for other races, especially elves. Well, I personally love that. I'm talking like as me as an individual, not as somebody playing a game. I can't stand elves. So
yeah, that's you thing. Yep,
so I'm totally cool with this as a person. If I was in this world, I have no problem with the statement. Now,
you know, but it goes against the idea of humans, because this sentence basically says this is fact. Humans lack empathy. Not some humans, not most humans, but this is basically all humans lack empathy, because it is emphatic and done, and I cannot get behind that. I can't.
Or even if you keep that sentence there, if you follow it up with something that essentially says they lack empathy, but they have understanding. There's a difference between empathy and understanding if you want to get all meta.
Sure.
I personally think that the sentence should be rewritten completely. But if you want to go this route, you can say, hey, they lack empathy for everybody, especially the elves, but they have a better understanding. Humans as a species themselves can look at the other races and get a better understanding of what dwarves want, what gnomes want, and bridge that gap. It's the one thing that no matter what older school game I play from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, humans always were good at, was bridging the piece between the elves and dwarves, or having an understanding between the different, what was Earth on the Therans and oh my God, I can't remember the name of the elves up north. Shosara. It was always the humans that brought. It was our one thing. We were the ones that brought the other races together, and I really feel I'm with Heathen Dog in this one. This sentence, without any other qualifiers after it, is like,
It ruins the idea that I've had of humans for like ever.
So not only are we short-lived and we don't live in harmony with the world, but we're kind of like, screw you.
Yeah, dicks. Basically dicks.
So let's see what this next one is, because it starts off in a manner that I don't mind, but he said he read ahead. So humans are born with an innate spirit of competition that configures itself into a race for grand achievements and a constant striving to rise above their circumstances.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, neither do I. In fact, before I even read this next part here, one of the things that I love, and I don't know if it was in the Paladin's Handbook or if it was in a Dragon magazine or something that explained, like, why can't other races be paladins? Because only humans have this passion, this zeal, this, my God, life is short, we're going to make the best of it. This write-up on humans right here is the best write-up to explain why only humans can be paladins than maybe even what I read for D&D. You try to tell a modern, a 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition D&D gamer why only humans can be paladins, they don't get it. This is it right here. It's that zealotry that the dwarves are too stubborn, the gnomes are too weird, the elves don't care that much, but one might know they're stereotype tropes. This is the human stereotype. We have the passion, the diversity, the drive. That's why we have paladins, anti-paladins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, anywho, moving on to the next sentence. Whether to the benefit or detriment of those around them, many humans act only with regard to their own needs and from a sense of superiority over all other races and beasts.
There we get it. This is the end sentence for the start of the bad trail from humans lack empathy was the start of Danger Zone, and now we are at the end of the road in bad writing. Or I'm sorry, I
got you.
Yeah. Now it's fucking Hitler. Started off with
Wow.
with lacking empathy. It's fine, and we're
that
at
escalated quickly.
I know, right? It took 2 paragraphs to go from kind of a dick to get in the shower.
See, I see it a little differently than that. I get where you're coming from, and it's concerning, and it's not concerning because it's Nazis. Because I don't play that game. But where I'm really trying to read this again because I have my thought phrased, but first of all, again, it's lacking the diversity of humanity to say that some work with the elves, some are tree huggers, some are industrialists. You've got some people want to turn the world into a parking lot versus the people who want to save the whales. Seems like a lot of that's gone. I would accept. Now, I'm not saying that this is the verbiage that should be used. I haven't thought about this long enough, but just throw out there that humans have an ego. Probably individually, my ego is my character, even as my person. Heathen Dog's ego is his person. Scales way higher than an elf or a dwarf, because a dwarf thinks about clan, family, so forth. Yeah. Elf thinks about nature. I get that. So I could see them saying something in here that the human ego motivates humans to do, that makes them seem like they only act with regard. And I would stress that word seem.
Yes. Yeah. It seems to an outside observer to be highly individualistic and selfish.
And may be true because of our diversity. That's absolutely going to be true for some people.
But this write-up has gone way too far, in my opinion.
I think it's pigeonholed humans a little more than I like to see humans.
I believe it should be. Yes.
Yeah.
And it has the gall to go into racial affinities. Read that first sentence. It goes against the last 2 paragraphs.
What do you say? They're like replicants. They want more and jealous of the others. Replicants. That sounds familiar to me. I should know what that is. Humans interact well with most other races. Well,
how? Okay. They have no empathy and they feel superior to everyone else. How can you have generally good interactions with people you think you're better than and don't give a shit about?
Okay.
How is that possible?
No, I think the couple paragraphs above are just they could be worded better. I think now that I'm reading this, I think I understand. Like I said, the word seems, for example, would be a word that needs to be interjected in there, just as one.
What you're trying to do is change the meaning of everything that was written in the last two paragraphs to fit this sentence right here, and that's cheating.
No. You're right. I'm saying that I can't reconcile what's above and this myself.
No.
That's why I'm saying
it could be really horrible editing.
It might be a vision in somebody's head, and by the way, I've run into this writing my own game, where I see something, and then when I gave it to Zark, he said da 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 da. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Come to find out, we just literally saw the language differently. So this reminds me of something that's a vision in somebody's head. It got blurted onto paper, seemed good at the time, but yeah, to somebody like you and me, outsiders been playing for a long time, this is hard to reconcile. I like this, as far as humans go, much better than this.
Right. Now, the problem with that is the humans lack empathy for all other races sentence, and the humans act only with regard to own needs and from a sense of superiority from all other races. Those two sentences should not be here. Those two sentences color the entire couple of paragraphs. It builds a frame around everything that you're reading that must now fit inside the framework of those two sentences, and it's all bad.
I'll compromise with you. I think with this one, you keep the sentence but add the word seems, but we remove this one completely.
The second one?
The humans
one on the bottom?
The humans lack empathy. We remove that one completely.
Okay.
But whether to the benefit or detriment of those around them, many humans seem to act only with regard to their own needs.
Okay. Eliminating the idiot who wrote that humans lack empathy for other races as an absolute. Whoever wrote that as an absolute should be fired, because that is dumb.
It's funny.
Are not absolutely anything.
I care about grammar. You care about this? I mean, it's interesting. I'm not laughing at you at all. It's just funny because, people go off on me like, you should just not worry about people's grammar. People write the way they speak and blah, blah, blah. Well, as a technical writer, I can't do that.
No, of course not. Because language is the way we convey ideas.
Language changes. It changes.
If you do it poorly or haphazardly, you exchange the wrong idea.
Understood. And now with this right here, this doesn't bother me nearly to the degree that it does Heathen, but I agree with them. I mean, I don't think that the writer should be fired for this one. I think that there should have been a better discussion between the development team. Say, what does this mean? How do these reconcile? Maybe we're the only two to ever feel this way. Maybe we're the weirdos. I won't go with that one.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I got nothing to do with that.
They have no innate prejudices, but are often taught at a young...
That's a lie. Fucking lie.
Especially elves. They have no innate prejudices except for they lack empathy, especially for elves.
Empathy. All other races and beasts. Other than that,
empathy and prejudices are different. To be fair, just because we're not empathetic towards them doesn't mean we hate them or treat them.
Sense of superiority over all other races and beasts. That's literally every fucking living thing that's not a plant.
Being prejudicial only to ourselves doesn't mean we're prejudicial to the world. I know I'm reaching. I'm just trying to. But often are taught at a young age who is an enemy, everyone, not you apparently, and who is a friend, not the world.
Trees.
Nope. Parking lots, bitch. Parking lots. That's how humans. Enemies and friends are determined more by expediency. Okay, now you're bringing it back in.
Yeah.
And mutual benefit rather than any innate prejudice.
But they have innate prejudice. You said so. Feeling of superiority over all other races. That's an innate prejudice for fucking everything. God,
I will say that this sentence right here, even though it's in a whole different section, racial affinities versus personalities, this sentence right here does negate this. Lack empathy for other races, especially elves, because empathy doesn't matter at this point. We're talking specifically about the prejudice. They don't have empathy because we don't care. Hey, if it's mutual beneficial, sure, an elf, whatever, come on. But if it's not expedient for us as humans, we're going to build a parking lot in your woods. I hope you're okay with that. Not really. Yeah. Or wait, you want us to build it over there? Well, what happens if we build it over there? Oh, you'll protect this side of us? Oh, sure. Okay, we'll build it. I
just feel like how did you screw up humans. We looked at elves. We looked at dwarves and we looked at gnomes, and they were great. But the human write-up contradicts itself 2 or 3 times.
I really feel it's that vision. Somebody had a vision in his head and said, these are the words, or these are the feelings I have about humans, but then had to pull it back into a game context. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, all you had to do was take away the absolute statements.
Sure,
and it would be okay.
Agreed.
But they didn't do that. Pisses me off. How'd you fuck up your own race? Come on.
It's funny. I think one of the reasons why Heathen Dog's way more adamant about this than me is that he's human-centric in like every game he plays.
I am human-centric. I play a human all the time because all of the races suck. Now, I would be a really good human in this world. I don't agree with it, but I'd be a really good one. Just like Max would be a really great gnome in this world.
I think I'd be a better dwarf.
Or dwarf. I'm sorry, dwarf in this world because of the hatred of elves thing. I would be a really great human in this world because all other races are demi-humans. They are lesser than human for a reason. They suck balls. That's my personal view. But I don't like it when the idea of the all-inclusive humanity, the glue humanity that is prevalent in fantasy games all over is shit on like this, and with poor writing.
Hey, whenever I'm stupid and I put up that subscribe thing like that, make sure that the stupid part is I forget to put the other banner back up like that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We went like half this episode without it up.
That's fine.
That's my fault. I did it.
Yes, it is.
Or didn't do it. Whatever.
Humans can be found in any environment or climate, though they usually prefer to live above ground. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Are you calmed down with that one?
I am. I'm cool with that. Racial traits and abilities. Primary attributes. Because of the unique nature of humankind, humans choose an additional primary attribute for a total of 3. The unique nature. I don't understand that at all. Because they're just as pigeonholed as everybody else.
I think they bring it back around. I know you're stuck on this, and I get it, but I think they bring, with the racial affinities and the other stuff, they bring it back around.
And then they go back to the showers with language. Every other race gets like almost every language choice. Humans only know their own language. Fuck you, you dirty blithering elf. That's exactly
that's why we hate the elves. We don't speak it.
There you go. Size medium, movement 30 feet, typical classes any, attribute modifiers none. No, that's normal. That's normal. But yeah, I mean, out of all of the races we've read, I have the most problem with human. It was either a bad vision from the designer or just bad writing and editing from everyone else down the pipe.
I don't feel as strongly about it, but I understand. And you heard what I said that I think should be fixed in that one.
Yep.
So, Charlotte's comment up there for a moment, and tell me when you're done.
I'm done. We can go to bed.
Okay. Well, no, we got to finish up making the character. We got to talk about our persona. Basically, this is where you and the castle keeper work out the whole concept. Like, okay, how do you want to play this character and so forth? Is the character Let's go. Is the character hot-tempered, mild-mannered, mean-spirited, slow-witted, determined, arrogant? I know some people say this takes away my agency, but I don't let players anymore. I used to when I was younger. I don't let players play characters anymore that are openly detrimental to the group.
No, it's bad.
Yeah, it's like, let's say in the group there's a paladin and assassin. Well, one of them's got to give. Or a paladin and a rogue, which is, more common, paladin and thief. I warn both of them. Mr. Paladin, you are supposed to be humble. You're supposed to lead by example. You're not a crusader. You don't cut people's hands off for stealing. Mr. Thief, if you start acting stupid and think it's going to be funny to hide the wizard's spellbook in the paladin's pack, I don't want you in this game because you're just going to cause a fight. Don't do it. Outside of that, I want you to play how you feel it's supposed to be done. But this is where you have this conversation about the persona. I'm a strong believer in session zeros. To me, that's still a new term, but I've always had session zeros going all the way back for as long as could be. I think we used to just call it, hey, let's talk about the game we want to play. I think that was the time.
Actually, we just rolled it into the character creation process.
Exactly. Yes. That's what I love about like Forbidden Lands. Did a different game this time.
Good job.
What I love about the Year Zero engine as a whole, because that relationship is built into the game. Alignment. Alignment, it's got the same basic alignments that go through it here. The game actually defines the alignments probably even better than D&D. Well, again, outside the core books, there are a lot of good definitions, but lawful good, I'm not going to read them all, but lawful good characters of this alignment are dedicated to following the strictures of society. Notice it doesn't say must follow every rule in the rule book of every city he goes to. It just says follows the strictures of society, respecting law and order. Again, doesn't say, if slavery is the law of the land, it doesn't mean he's like, well, I guess I'm a slave owner now. But he respects the law of the land and, works from within in that case. Act for the benefit of others in society and places great value on truth, honor, and life. I think this is a generally good write-up for what lawful good is. I think the only thing I would have done a little differently with this, although it is here for the benefit of others in society, is I like to promote lawful good as being just team players. Go along with the group.
Yeah.
It's not about following the rules. It's about going along with it. You understand that society, whether the society is your 7-player adventure group or it's a city or whatever, is more important and more powerful than the one. You're going to say?
No, it's fine. Yeah.
The other one I like to look at just because I like to is neutral evil. Because I like to see how it's defined. Characters of this alignment mirror those of neutral good, but they typically follow a road that benefits themselves instead of others. Okay, neutral good characters that have healthy, respectable, law and freedom. Okay, I just see neutral evil as selfish. So
yeah, that's basically what they're saying. Put themselves in front of others, whereas neutral good, they go in between laws and freedoms. Like, hey, I want the ability to do me, but I'm going to make sure I'm not going to mess with you while doing it. Whereas the neutral evil character is, I'm going to do me, and if I mess with you a little bit, well, you got to deal with that.
I don't know
important than your fifis.
I don't know the Dark Sun because I hate Dark Sun, but so I don't know what the explanation is from there. And I saw something up here. Where is it? There it is. Lawful versus chaos is greater good or big picture versus self-interest, good and evil.
Here at least in here that is a good and evil. Like they said, the difference between neutral evil and neutral good is the neutral evil is more self-centered, whereas the neutral good understands that, hey, you do you, I do me, as long as my stuff doesn't impact you poorly, we're going to be fine. Whereas neutral evil doesn't care if his stuff impacts you poorly because he's more important.
So when I see law and chaos, I compare it to, I hate to go real world politics, but it's the easiest way to do it. Authoritarianism versus libertarianism. Okay. I like to consider myself
more anarchy. I would go authoritarian and anarchy, but
I wouldn't say anarchy because even a chaotic good person understands that there has to be some code of conduct. Now, if the code of conduct doesn't have any use, it's got to go away, but it doesn't mean the person's anarchic unless it's chaotic neutral. Like that, because that person doesn't have a mind anyway. But like a chaotic good person is like, you know what, I'm going to do things and you might not like how it's done necessarily, but ultimately the sun's going to shine, the rain's going to land, and the crops are going to grow and everybody's going to be happy. Just because you have a dumb rule that says I can't cross the street this way, or you know what, I know you have this rule that says I can't murder the bad guy because there has to be law and order, but I'm telling you, he owns the Senate. We're going to take him out. That's how I see chaotic good. I mean, without getting too crazy, it's just like, leave me alone. I'm going to go on my own. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do it my own way. If I choose to do it with you, that's great. Where the lawful good person is like, okay, we have to have rules. How are we breaking up treasure? We're doing it exactly this way every time. And you will always be like this. And we're always going to do this. Neither way is inherently wrong. Personally, I lean towards the chaotic good as a person. I don't like people telling me what to do in my yard. But I also know, remember, we're not talking about Dungeons and Dragons where it's got 40 some years of history behind it where people have made up their own stuff. We're talking about a specific game with its own set of rules. So these are the definitions of, lawful, chaotic, good, evil for this game. And I think they were written up right for this game. In fleshing out the character, it helps to choose a deity or even a pantheon of deities with whom the character calls upon. Okay. Choice of a deity is not required. All right. Yet, in a world of fantasy where deities are presumed to exist as often overlooked aspect of character creation, one of the things I don't like in D&D games is when a character's like, I don't believe in the gods. But we have clerics and the gods actually show themselves, and I don't get that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. No, God, I can understand kind of the Conan, like, screw you, God, if you're not going to help me. I can get with that.
You still, the God is there, but if he's not helping you, he's not useful. So don't pray to him.
Right. Now, if you're running more of a low magic world, or a world where gods don't actually walk the world, okay, now I can start to see it a little bit more. But
if you have clerics literally calling on fire from the fucking sky, then wake up, buddy.
It's just magic. Whatever.
Any wizard will tell you, nope.
That's usually the wizard doing it. That's the problem. Clerics and druids draw their power from a deity, pantheon, a deity, or whatever supernatural forces they have allegiance. What I like about this, but also dislike about it, this is more of a framework than a world. Pick one. Okay? I don't like the idea of saying, you know what? Look, I'm going to get again into the realm of the real world for a second here, but I'm not comfortable praying to other gods in my game or believing in other gods. So I just want to say that my character gets his powers from just the earth and the air around him. No. No. I don't want to stop a game master from making the world the game master wants to make, but this is more of a framework comment than it is a world building comment. And so far, if you looked at what we talked about with the humans, this game is definitely a world building game.
Yeah.
So I do take some issue with this. Oh, is it?
You were going to say umbrage.
Yeah. Well, I did. But in choosing a deity, consultation with the castle keeper is necessary to learn more about particular deity pantheon and what benefits. Now, again, I think it's trying to tote the line too much between world building versus framework. Just go with the world building. You've already defined your world to a large degree already, even in just the races and classes. Just say you follow a deity. And if the game master wants to make his own world, hey, then the game master makes a world where there are no deities and the powers exist. But for the core game, it should just people like Celine and Marvel comics. A bit more fun to try to. Yeah, but we're talking a fantasy game, dude. Do you smoke before you comment? Put that in. Maybe you because you do comic books more than me.
People like Celine and Marvel Comics, which include Conan, make it a bit more fun to try and write deities since they're uber beings who are still technically mortals. I don't read a lot of Conan comics.
Savage Avengers, I get it, and so forth, but that's a different genre.
Yeah. But uber beings that can be killed, like they're ageless but not immortal.
Kind of like the Forgotten Realms gods.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's basically a super wizard. No, I don't do that. In fact, I'm one of those people that doesn't understand why you give God stats. It's a god.
Yeah, you face one, you auto lose. You just get puffed.
Now, to be fair, I don't throw my gods on the planet all the time walking around, but no, if somehow you faced one, if you went to the happy hunting grounds and decided to meet the deity of whatever, the forest, you are not going to beat it.
I'm
going to roll one die.
Badly. Actually, no, you're not even going to lose badly. You're just going to stop.
You're going to cease to exist.
Yeah, that's why I liked a second edition AD&D, because the only gods you ever saw were avatars, small fragments of the god's essence. That is small enough a fragment. It has stats, and you can fight it.
And 400 hit points in an armor class and negative 15.
You're probably not going to win, but you have a shot. You have a shot because it is such a small piece. It's like fighting God's fingernail. It's just a fingernail. God doesn't really care that much, and he can't flex so much from just a fingernail. So you got a shot.
But he could also create like 15 avatars in the same spot.
A greater god can make 10 in the god book, and 10 avatars at a time. But you can only have one in each dimension at a time. But
No, Shads, I don't get with that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and yes, people are weird like that, but I don't accept that. People in in an old world, like a Middle Ages type world that aren't fully enlightened and so forth. First of all, it was the exact opposite. Sure, they might have been flat earthers, but they found gods everywhere.
Yeah.
Everything was God. God did this. They leeched you because of God. I mean, come on. So I wouldn't accept that. I would say flat out, this world has gods. I don't care if you like them or venerate them, but you know they exist. In the existence.
They are there. You don't have to like it. You don't have to pray to them. Look, I don't care. You can say, I hate gods. They're meddling assholes. All right.
Oh, and there could definitely be that
there.
There could be a dichotomy between, well, we failed because God willed it versus, that'd be like what the cleric says versus like, shut up. God doesn't care. You could get kind of agnostic-y about it. I get that. But to say that they just straight up don't exist, no. That's why I like the Cthulhu gods. You're not going to beat any of those. You're not going to beat any god if really. See, Tan is half elf, and he proves my point.
I don't understand the meaning behind that.
Tanis believed in the gods.
Well, he didn't have to see that's the thing.
He didn't worship. He believed in them. He didn't worship them.
Yeah, but the whole belief thing. When you're talking to a religious person, belief is understanding without fact. Every single person in these stories know for a fact that gods exist because of that dude over there creating miracles in God's name. All right. Well, something's about that. So it's not really belief. It's knowledge. You know that gods exist because of people like Priesty Stan over here. All right. You know it. So it's it's knowledge. Everyone here has knowledge of deities. Whether you worship one or not is on you. But saying, look, they don't exist is an idiot's thing. Stop.
The only thing I'd quibble with what you said is I changed the word belief to faith. Other than that, what you said is spot on.
When you're talking to a religious person, belief and faith are commonly considered the same thing.
Fair. The only way to kill a god, second, is hunt down, destroy all the followers across cosmos. That's when you started getting into the immortal level rules. I actually think that was first edition, if I remember correctly, maybe a second edition. Yeah, you could do things like that. But, I mean, it depends on the world also, because if you look at Forgotten Realms, Baneball and Merkel, they got killed. I guess one of them came back now in 5th edition, so I don't care. They were killed off, in the hell was the name of that war? War of the Avatars, whatever the hell it was called, Tantris and whatnot. But, every realm kind of played it differently. I'm just saying, in my worlds, if somehow, some way you met God, or even the avatar of God, he'd squish you like a bug. God isn't going to come to you as a 20th level party and be like, hey, buds, what's up? Yeah, you want to arm wrestle? Oh, you beat me. No, he's going to come down with his most powerful avatar and going to be like, all right, this is what's up. You might think you're tough, but no, your magic's done. Shut up. Let me get back on track here. I see Conan would just invoke the protection of actual deities to fight wizards. Again, are you talking savage? I don't know.
I think we beat the God thing to death. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what chat's trying to say. Names, yeah, go ahead and make your name. Yeah, I was just trying to make one little comment, and all of a sudden,
I know it went all weird.
Starting coin. Everybody starts with a little bit different coin. 3d8 times 10, 3d4. We're gonna talk about coin a little bit more in a moment.
I have a problem with this chart.
What?
Why does the fighter and ranger have a much greater range and higher cap than the rogue? You think the rogue and the assassin would start with more money?
I think it's just to purchase initial equipment, and because they have to purchase their armor also. Armor is going to weigh, or it's going to cost.
Yeah. No. I understand. I just don't. I think the rogue should start with more money than a fighter. I really do. Just makes more sense.
He's a poor rogue. That's why he's got to steal stuff now. I mean, we're talking a bard here that is just starting out and nobody's throwing coins into the hat.
I get it. But a rogue, your first level, you went through years of training. You've stolen nothing except practice dummies. Come on, man. Come
on. You see, I don't necessarily agree with the years of training for the rogue thing because I've been to Paris. So what I want to talk about is EV, and we're going to get to this later. I actually had to scroll back and go, wait, WTF on this stuff. You have weight, and then you have EV, which is encumbrance value. If I remember correctly.
Which page is this?
I'm on page 62, but we're going to be scrolling way past this quickly.
Okay.
So all this stuff has weight. If you want to do encumbrance by weight, you can, but it also has this encumbrance value, encumbrance rating.
Right.
And I did not play around with this math. I'm not going to get it right. I just want to show you that it's there and tell you you can do it for your game and move on. Encumbrance. So you can do the whole encumbrance thing based on the weight of the items and so forth because it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they also have this encumbrance category. Unburned, burned, overburned, okay?
Sure.
This is where it seems like a pain in the butt, but honestly, it does kind of simplify it from what I could see. Character has an encumbrance rating equal to strength score. I'm not going to say that other word. This is then modified by the character's prime attributes. If the character has either the strength or constitution attributes as prime, may add 3 to the strength score to determine the encumbrance rating. See, you could just say the there. Take out 2 letters, man. If the character has both strength and constitution as prime, then the character may add 6. This encumbrance rating is a total amount of encumbrance values the character can carry before being burdened. So, I don't have the attribute chart in front of me, but they do give an example here. Memon has a strength score of 7 and constitution is one of his primes. His ER is 10 due to strength score being 7, modified plus 3 for the constitution. Okay.
Sure.
On a trip, Ancient Burial Grounds lays a soul, to lay a soul properly to rest. Memnon expects trouble, so he's carrying a lot of material with him. His equipment encumbrance values add up to 17. Memnon's categories for encumbrance are unburned, burned, 30, and overburned, 31 plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
With an EV total 17, is lightly encumbered and suffers the penalties for that category. Memnon later picks up a statue with an EV of 20, just statue, throws it on,
this
throws it on his shoulder.
This look good in my bedroom. This would be great.
Right? Would be 37, would be overburdened. But it does give the, here we go, like the size and so forth. So statue 5x2x1 would add +2. Yeah. Very light modifiers are -2, lights are +1 to EV. So if you get a sword and it's, considered light construction, it'll actually be -1. This isn't so much for swords and so forth. It's more for things like carrying statues or,
right.
Timber and whatnot. But anyway, it uses this. Let me scroll back up. So you can see a tunic's got a 1. I don't know if I'd actually make clothes actually weigh something. Travel trunk. Here we go. Here's a good one. Got that trunk. That's a 5 encumbrance value already. So remember, you started with 10, right?
Empty trunk.
Right. Empty. Absolutely empty trunk. Yes.
Yep.
Because it's only 3 pounds. It's funny. It's only 3 pounds. But anyway, you utilize this formula down here for the encumbrance rating. At first, I was like, oh my God, this is weird, and I don't understand it. I only glanced at it. I did not try to do all the math, but after kind of reading through this, it's like, okay, it makes sense. It's not quite a rules light encumbrance system. It's a little more realistic than that, but it isn't at the same time that, okay, how much is that? Well, 3.5 pounds. This one's 2.75 pounds. This one's 14.1 pounds. Hold on. Am I encumbered? Am I not? No. It gives you a nice, easy number to do. I think it fits the balance.
It's more ballpark.
Yes. Yeah. It splits the difference between super realistic and rules light. And I like it. Ad hoc encumbrance. That's based on that. It's a balance. What I like this is balanced, bulky, formless, narrow. So you know how you ever pick up something like it's not heavy. It's just God, what's the damn term?
Unwieldy.
Cumbersome, unwieldy. There's another term we use, but yeah, you can use that for your modifiers here.
Right.
Weapons, armor, don't care. Magic. Oh, I thought they had coins in here. Is this it? Coins right here. Every 16 coins is equal to a pound. However, coins have almost no bulk to them, but may have weight. A single coin or a pound of coins has no appreciable. There we go. English. EV. 10 pounds or 160 coins is equal to 1 EV. So you're going to be carrying more coins in this than you'd probably think that a character should be able to carry. At the same time, it does eventually add up. Now, magic. Are we still wanting to do magic today? I mean, we're like 2 hours in, man.
Yeah, we are. We should probably cut it for here and pick this up next week.
Wow, I thought we were going to be done in maybe 2 episodes, 3 at the most, but it looks like we're going to be going for 4.
Yep.
So, I mean, we did spend a bunch of time talking about those races. Let's stop sharing the screen, get us back on there. All right. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Okay, how do you know the wizards wouldn't have more money? Wouldn't they make killing? Oh, I mean, that's this question for you.
Where is it?
It's on the screen now.
How do you know the wizard wouldn't have more money? Wouldn't they make a killing selling snake oil? I mean, Mordenkainen's miracle elixir. That's what they did the trick. Okay, fair enough. But the problem I have with the wizard is in getting proficient in their art is not stealing things from that doesn't belong to them that you can then sell for money. That's the rogue. Getting proficient in being a rogue in part is stealing shit from other people. Nobody else has that as a function of creating their skill set. So he's going to get more things through his early career than everyone else, and he'll be able to sell those things for more money. He should start off with a cash injection, selling off all the shit he stole during his training to start off his career on his own.
I visualize the first level rogue differently, and that's where you and I are going to differ on this one. I see him as either the street urchin or the guy who just lost his farm and is destitute and he's a beggar now, or something like that, or even the girl on the street corner turning tricks that decided, you know what, this isn't fun anymore. I want to I'm going to go get money another way. I don't see it as somebody with experience other than the raw natural talent because it's based on dex now. It's not based on percentage rolls and so forth.
I understand. See, but I look at classes in, say, D&D and other stuff like they're spelled out in Earth Dawn. Okay, where the disciplines are spelled in Earth Dawn, that you train for years before getting to first circle.
See, I believe that only for wizards.
What's that?
I believe that only for wizards, and that's not even a necessity, and maybe clerics.
Clerics and druids have the same thing that's built in, but why are they special? Why? And of course, for a fighter, it takes years to become proficient in 3 different weapons.
The world isn't fair. The world isn't fair. Everybody, it takes longer to become an engineer than it does to take, to be a construction worker.
That is true. That is true. But in both cases, it takes a certain amount of training. And for all of these skills and abilities that rogues get, how many lifetimes would it take you to learn all those things? I mean, seriously.
I'm not saying that there's no training involved.
Exactly.
Some of that training can be trial and error and so forth. I think that the rogue should be a pauper. Like me personally, I almost think that the rogue has too much money. The rogue should be a pauper because the rogue is always trying to steal stuff and then losing money and then gambling it away. Maybe rogues aren't known.
If you want to justify that, obviously you would have to go in everyone is trained route, but the rogue is trained under a higher level rogue, right? Makes sense. OJT,
not always.
No problem with that.
Possibly, but not always. No.
Okay, but you can be on board with that.
I can be on board with it. Yes.
Okay, so at the end of his training, the payment for this is everything you've stolen in your training is now mine. I own it. Now go and make your own shit.
Okay.
You could say that.
How about this? Let's change it up. Let's give the rogue 2d20. So you got this real big disparity. Oh, I rolled a 1 and a 1. I guess I was a rogue that's just on the street. Oh, I rolled 220.
I can get behind that. Okay. Yes. Have their lows be lower than everyone else and their highs be higher than everyone else. So there's a huge range. You can't
roll 15 dice because that would normalize it too much.
Yeah. Then even if you rolled ones on all of them, you're still getting a good amount of coin. But you would have to use a percentile dice times 10. You either start with 10 gold or 1,000. It's like way in between there.
Hey, I want to show this. Dude, this is going to be old. No, I picked the wrong one. Stop that. Pick the wrong one. Share screen. Oh, because I have the wrong one up here, dumbass. And there we go. Share that. Boom. Humble Bundle. Why are you showing Humble Bundle? That's weird.
That is weird.
Because I'm going to go to Old School Revival. Remember when I said earlier that we were going to talk about a charity and so forth? Mm-hmm. Well, Humble Bundle gives a charity, and 9 times out of 10, I refuse to give to the charities that they give to because I don't believe in them. However, this one gives to the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. Now, I've worked for the Marines. I have not worked for the Navy, but I do work for the Air Force currently. And let's look at this. What do we have here? Well, actually, let's start with humble RPG book bundle, old school revival. It's funny. I've been seeing revival more often now. It used to be I always saw Renaissance everywhere. Now I'm seeing revival. Dungeons, Dragons, and Mazes, right? We've teamed up with Frog God Games. Good company, by the way. If I'm saying that, I'm sure you know what that means. Mm-hmm. Get RPG books like The Pestilent, Borderland Provinces, and Castles and Crusades Player's Handbook. Now you're going to be like, you can already get it for free off the Troll Lord site, right? Hold on. Plus your purchase will support Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. Well, let's look down. Or, I live in Germany. That's why it shows in Euro. Can I zoom in on this a little more? Oh, I can. All right. What do we have here? We have some flavor text, how to cook monsters. Honestly, most of the books in this thing, I'm kind of like, about. Borderland Provinces. There's a lot of short stories in here. Well, now we've got Swords and Wizardry complete. Click on that for just a moment. This is the game you played 20 years ago. It's true to the original style and philosophy that made the game so great. No spot checks here. Simple, flexible rules that allow players and game masters alike to role play. The standout tome provides all the rules you need to play the game. So we've got a game system here, right? Already scrolled down for me. Bird of a Feather. Not sure exactly what that is. But here we go. Castle and Crusades Player's Handbook. Again, you're going to tell me, but I can get off Troll Lord Games for free. But can you also get Death in Trekland?
What is that? A source book?
I'm guessing it's an adventure. Journey on a wild adventure that takes you from Bakund, the Tower of the Dog, to the dungeons of Zebagd. And beyond the... Okay, I'm not reading these damn names anymore. Just name your city Freeport, please. Okay, anyway. Yeah, it's an adventure, though. From Troll Lord Games. Where'd it go? Up here. We've got this one here. The Pestilent. The south of the famed Blacktooth Ridge. See, I can read that one.
Good job.
Lies the East Fallow Hills. There. The Caravensare of... Okay, you know what? Stop making up words. I know what that is. It's a caravan. I get it. Wasserfall plays host to the occasional merchant or adventurer seeking their fortune on that fable. Okay, anyway. I got confused by the word they. Yeah. Anyway... So we've already got 3 castles and crusades right there, right? Mm-hmm. Now we got some more flavor text, some maps, Borderland Provinces, mappy stuff. Tales of the Lost. These are like short stories, by the way. Not sure what the importance of them is. I'm sure
probably
somebody can answer.
Building or lore making or whatever.
Could be. They're, like I said, they're short stories. Mm-hmm. Quests of Doom, Awakenings by Steve Winter. For 3 to 5 characters, okay, this must be a newer type game because in the old days you never had 3 to 5 characters. This is from 5 to 7 at least. Mm-hmm. Strange things, so it's probably a 5th edition game. Strange things occur after a meteor strikes overhead in the night sky. So it's an adventure. Quests of Doom! Frog God Games. Like I said, Frog God Games is a good company. Oh, look at this. More Castles and Crusades. Stains Upon the Green. The Long Valley. Scroll down more. More of these little short stories, some maps. I have a map fetish, so I like the map thing. These other ones I don't care so much about. Borrow Maze, if anybody knows about that. Here, let's there you go. Do that dungeon, bitch.
That is a wow. That's a care right there.
That's bigger than a care, but yeah, at least I think it is. Well, cares have large central areas for like growing and so forth. But yeah, your point is absolutely well taken in that one. Oh man. So where are we here? Yep, more Castle and Crusades. Codex of Celtarum. It's Celtics. Or I'm sorry, Celtarum. The Celts possessed a language of such haunting beauty that its echoes stir memories of
subjective.
Look, hey, it's exotic.
All right, fair.
Oh, wait, I just said the word you're not allowed to say about Asians. Are you allowed to say about Celts? Anyway. So, anywho, it supports charity. Oh, and the lure of delusion. The delusionist. Enter the Elkhorn Deeps and attempt a rescue of missing children. Hey. Be wary, for things are not always as they seem, and where allies and enemies work in tandem, great dangers often dwell. But above all, beware the lure of delusions. Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah. Isn't this one of the designers of the game? I think it is. Okay. Or it's like a brother. Anyway, if you go to Humble Bundle, you can find this there. Like I said, about half of the stuff on here, I really don't give a crap about, which is kind of sad.
That's really, part and parcel of the Humble Bundle. Half of it, I'm like, I don't really care about any of that. The other stuff is good, but it's usually at a cheap enough price to where, I'll absorb the crap I don't want.
Yeah, right. Yep. And plus, you also give them to charity if you care. And and we're talking about we're talking about Castles and Crusades. So if you want to get more stuff for Castles and Crusades, here you go. This Humble Bundle. Pay what you want.
Well, to an extent. I mean, if you want the higher tier bundles, you got to pay more.
Well, right, but you get what you pay for. Up to what's the max here? What's the highest one?
€12.65 euro.
Well, that's euro, so it's probably
$15 bucks.
Yeah, probably $15. Yeah. So, boom. Anywho, I just wanted to say I thought that was kind of part of. Oh, you've moved it up to commentary.
Well, yeah, we weren't talking about the fundamentals of the game anymore.
I kind of was adding this into that, but